Hey, welcome back with another video. Today we're going to be reacting to Jesse Lee Peterson, pastor debate about invisible barriers. Let's see where this goes. Subscribe, turn on post notifications, smash that like button up. Watch this video all the way through. Appreciate you. And let's go.
Our religious heritage is rooted in the regrettable experience of slavery. You used to be a slave. You are an expert in African American religious thought and history, right? You know, I'm trying to be. Let me say I'm trying to be. What is that? Huh? What is that? African American religious history? Yeah, African American religious thoughts and history. What is that? Well,
You have to be asking questions to make people mad off the rip.
It's a study of our heritage, our religious heritage, even beginning with our current religious stance and dispositions, but tracing it back through history, we try to discover our roots for the particular understandings of God, Christ, and the Bible that we bring in our current religious experience. Is African American religious thought different from Caucasian religious thought? Oh yes, very definitely. In what way? Well, for one thing, our religious heritage is rooted in the regrettable experience of slavery. You used to be a slave?
No, but the books and the histories and all kind of stuff like that. What he's getting at. Hopefully y'all get what he's getting at. I think you guys know that slavery has had a traumatic effect on the black community and it's gone throughout the centuries. But Jesse is just hilarious. Jesse be triggering people.
Yes, we used to be slaves. You were a slave at one time? No, I was not. I was born in the 1950s. So slavery was long gone. But I still experience the legacy of slavery. How? The legacy of discrimination. In what way? When I experience barriers that exist.
He should have said the rise of Donald Trump. That's how we experienced it. He rolled back on segregation laws. Just think about that.
Simply because of the color of my skin. Those barriers are still real and they still exist. So how did you get to APU and do all this, be the dean, and do all that if barriers are in your way? Yeah, that's amazing, isn't it? That's a miracle. That's a miracle. Is it possible because we were not there? At least not from the white folks. That who was not there? Barriers were not there. It was all in your mind. It's not real. Oh no, the barriers are there. The barriers are there even now. Even though I am associate dean and professor of New Testament, there's still some real barriers that you deal with. When will black people know that they are not there anymore? What do white people have to do to say, okay, blacks, we gave y'all everything. Do you want the land? You want the land, then you'll be done. You know, we'll know that these barriers are no longer there when we finally become
Jesse talk as if he's not a black person.
fully human. And how are you going to do that? By taking eyes. By the eyes of what? In the eyes of white people. So if white people just say to the black, y'all human, would you be satisfied? No, it takes more than that. It takes more than that. What else you want? For one thing, it takes getting the knees off of our necks. What do you mean by that? What I mean by that is the end of things like racialized police brutality. When those kind of things disappear. When a young woman can be sitting in her house and not worry about police officers busting the door down and shooting her to death. Who are you referring to? Breonna Taylor. Oh, that Taylor girl, did you know she was dealing with drug dealers? It doesn't matter what people think. It doesn't matter what she was dealing with. It doesn't matter if she was in a car with a murder or something. Nobody is going to walk into the house of a white woman and shoot her dead. They didn't do that. They didn't do what? They knocked before they went in. The boyfriend or maybe even her shot at the cops. No. They didn't just walk in. No, they busted the door down. No, but they didn't just walk in. It was a knock.
They busted the door down.
They did not identify themselves as police officers.
If they knocked and went in, they're beyond, like, first of all, you need a warrant to even go into somebody's house like that. First things first. They busted the door down. And so if they knocked and went in, then they broke the law. So if you really believe that they knocked and went in, Jesse, they broke the law in that way. So
the young man thought that some other group was breaking in. He shot himself in the head. They returned fire and they killed an innocent woman.
When you say the young man, are you referring to the drug dealer that you were with?
No, I'm not referring to a boyfriend. I don't know anything about his background. All I know is that there's no justification for the string of killings of black men and black women for no reason.
I love how he responded to that. I don't know his background. His background doesn't matter. The police should have never killed him, saying they broke down the wrong door. They broke down the wrong door and they killed a woman, in the process of that. So there needs to be justice.
Even if they're drug dealers, pushing drugs, criminals, and all that, they don't bring it up on themselves. As a preacher, do they bring up on themselves by the way they live?
Well, white people see this case.
That's not what I'm asking.
And there are white drug dealers, there are white gang members, but yet you don't hear of killing after killing after killing of unarmed black men and black women.
That's not true.
It is true.
No, it just
that is the problem. That is what all the protests are about. The protests are not about police engagement with criminals.
As a preacher, I gotta ask you this.
Okay.
As a preacher, called by God, sitting in the room, read the word when God called you. As a preacher, does it matter their lifestyle? Can they possibly bring this upon themselves by the way they live?
Lifestyle does not bring murder upon someone.
If you're a drug dealer or you're involved in drug dealing and you're doing criminal things, can you bring that upon yourself?
A lifestyle can lead to consequences.
So is it possible this killer woman and woman Floyd or whatever his name was brought it upon themselves based on their lifestyle? Is that possible?
No, not under these circumstances. It was racism that brought that consequence upon her.
Do you believe that white people discriminate against blacks?
Yes.
Of course.
Do you discriminate?
No.
You never discriminate.
No.
Of course.
You don't discriminate.
I don't discriminate against anyone on the basis of race.
Do you discriminate?
I have been discriminated against on the basis of race.
So you do discriminate.
Everybody discriminates.
How about you?
For example, I prefer to eat chicken rather than pork. That's discrimination.
Do you discriminate?
Not on the basis of race.
Do you discriminate against other people?
Not on the basis of racial characteristics. That's what we're
So
talking
why
about.
did you marry a black woman instead of a white woman?
Because I fell in love with her.
But why did you fall in love with a white woman? You discriminated.
No, I fell in love
That's a
with
terrible example. You're discriminating because you will marry a white woman. That's
You
fine.
dated a white woman before, right?
No, I never dated a white
Why
woman.
not?
That situation just never arose.
Because you
I
discriminate.
fell in love with somebody else.
Is being a white Christian different from being a black Christian?
Yes.
In what way?
Heritage.
What?
Heritage and experience.
And what do you mean by that?
Black people, even black Christians, have experienced a racial heritage and history in this country that white people have not experienced. In fact, white people have been responsible for black
What
people
does that have to do?
experiencing
What
this
does that have
history
to
and
do with
heritage.
being born of God?
Did you know Jesus was black? I just wanted to let y'all know that.
It has nothing to do with being born of God, because black people who are Christians are born of God also. But yet, despite the fact that they were Christian and born of God, they've been treated as subhumans.
I agree with you that the Arab did treat them that way because it's the black that sold them.
I'm
It was the blacks that sold the Arab.
talking about racial history in the Americas.
It was the blacks that sold the Arab. It was the blacks that sold other blacks to the Arabs over in Africa, moving Africa. And then they went, and the Arabs sold the blacks around the world. I do agree with that. So they were treated cruelly for that reason.
You're blaming the victim. The legacy.
How the Arabs
The legacy.
the Arabs that sold, that bought them or the blacks that sold them?
It can be.
Yes, I mean, Christianity does not occur in a cultural vacuum. All Christian expressions are cultural expressions of Christianity. There's no such thing as an absolute value neutral, culturally neutral Christianity. That is a myth. If you find
that's amazing. That's stupid. Oh man, and like that Arab conversation that everybody keeps trying to have, it doesn't matter. You want to know who screwed over black people? Black people have a reason to complain about everybody. Everyone did. Everyone played a role in it. What happened when we got over to this country? I don't want people to stop bringing up slavery, right? Slavery is what brought us here, right? But I kind of want people to start talking about like Jim Crow, segregation, redlining, COINTELPRO, those kind of things, like the welfare system, what it was created for. Margaret Sanger and her idea of Planned Parenthood, like those are all things that played a role in why blacks are the way they are today. And yeah, like it's to keep talking about slavery is kind of still, slavery was just as bad because of the things that happened to us during slavery that have somewhat of a human effect. Like the fact that I keep realizing this, it say it out loud is interesting. We eat the scraps, like, you know, we like pig feet, we like things like that, right? Chitlins. And these are all the scraps of the pig that were given to us by whites during slavery, right? Even like, it's funny because I was reading about Haitian culture. They have this dish that they eat called soup jamoun, right? Soup jamoun was something that they weren't allowed to eat because the whites wouldn't allow them to eat it. But when they liberated themselves, on the first and the entire month, they eat that meal. Slavery has had an effect mentally on us, and it manifests itself later on down the line through generation and generation. But hey, you know, people can accept that or they can't accept that, but that's just the reality of how things go. But hey, y'all, I'm out. Peace.